I want now to pass the word to Feilding from the Beckley Foundation. They are the main sponsor of this event. So please, Amanda.
Thank you, Ben and Liza, for organising this fascinating conference on this beautiful island. I was asked to talk about Beckley, which has actually been working in the more general field of consciousness and global drug policy. And then recently we begun studying Ayahuasca with George Ibiza, which is wonderful. We now live in exciting times when the whole edifice of drug prohibition is beginning to crumble. It is becoming ever more difficult to deny the unintended consequences of the war on drugs. It not only causes misery and violence worldwide, but it also blocks scientific research into the potential benefits of psychoactive substances. This conference is very timely. It brings together different streams of inquiry and knowledge. Also, the focus is new on ayahuasca, a potion that has migrated from the forest to the cities and which is spreading through the cultural centres of the West like a mycelium. It doesn't fit into the normal profile of drugs because it is not used recreationally, but for the healing of body and mind and for spiritual development. It is not addictive and is reported to improve health and social well-being. It also has the great advantage of traditionally being used in a safe ceremonial setting. I'm the director of the Beckley Foundation, which in some ways is like an elder sister to ICEA's. At the time I started the Beckley, all drugs were considered to be harmful and without any benefit. There was officially no term for use, only abuse. The authorities had decided the only way forward was to prohibit them. I, like many others, saw that this was an appalling social mistake that had no chance of success and was doomed to worldwide suffering and violence. In 1998, after 30 years of studying and promoting the exploration of the physiology underlying different states of consciousness, I decided to start the foundation. I felt I could achieve much more as a foundation than as a lone voice in the wilderness. I set about formalizing and commissioning reports on key policy issues to build up an evidence base, and hosting seminars to bring together key international scientists, politicians, and other experts. The first decade, visible progress was slow. However, since 2011, there has been a seismic shift in favor of reform. Finally, intelligent and respectable people worldwide realize that prohibition does not work, and that we need a more subtle approach to drug policies that takes account of reality and which aims to minimize harms at every level. I realized that science was the essential key to overcome the taboo, and that with the best science we could build the evidence base for better policies and also demonstrate the physiological effects and usefulness of psychoactive substances. From the beginning of human culture, mankind has used sacred plants to produce a wider spectrum of conscious states than just the normal, restricted, ego-controlled consciousness of daily life. I first took LSD in 1965. Soon after, I was lucky enough to meet a Dutch scientist of genius, Bart Huggers, who taught me his pioneering hypotheses. The first, describing how changes in the blood supply to the brain underlie those altered states of consciousness brought about by cannabis, LSD, meditation, and other practices many of which were used by shamans in cultures of the past. The second was his description of the ego as a top-down, conditioned reflex mechanism that controls blood distribution in the brain. Parts of these hypotheses were recently confirmed in our psilocybin studies at Imperial College London. Back in 1966, I was amazed by these insights and decided to dedicate my life to developing a greater understanding of consciousness and its altered states in order to enhance our capacities and improve health and well-being. The psychedelics provide an invaluable tool to modify states of consciousness, which we can now study for the first time with the latest brain imaging technology. Since setting up the Beckley Foundation in 1998, it's been a long uphill struggle. I had no money, no letters after my name, nor academic position. Now, at last, the tide has finally turned. The concept of a psychedelic renaissance has become a reality, as has the realization that our drug policies cause much more global harm than the drugs themselves. It is wonderfully exciting to be opening up scientific research into non-ordinary states of consciousness, a subject that has been taboo for far too long. It's like a magical garden filled with ripe, low-hanging fruit waiting to be picked. After setting up the Beckley Foundation, I developed many research projects in collaboration with different scientists and universities around the world. In 2007, I proposed to Professor David Nutt that we set up a program to investigate the neurophysiology underlying the effects of psychedelics. When in 2009 David moved to Imperial College London, this program developed into the Beckley Foundation Imperial College Psychopharmacological Research Program, of which Dave Nutt and I are the director, and Robin K. Hart-Harris the lead researcher. The program's achievement to date have been pioneering and include the first fMRI and MEG research with psilocybin, the first resting state fMRI research with MDMA, and now the first fMRI and MEG research with LSD. This has resulted in 12 publications in high-impact medical journals. In 2012, as a result of our pilot psilocybin studies, the Medical Research Council of the UK awarded funding for a study to investigate psilocybin as a treatment for depression. The psilocybin studies were groundbreaking, as they showed, for the first time, that one of the most basic mechanisms underlying the psychedelic experience is the reduction of blood supply to an area called the default mode network, or DMN. The DMN is a network of highly interconnected brain regions that act as a top-down control mechanism, which sensors and coordinates the activity in other brain areas, thereby limiting experience of the world to a manageable and familiar level. The DMN is the modern-day terminology for the ego. Our studies revealed that the intensity of the psychedelic experience correlates with the degree of reduction of blood supply to the default mode network. This finding provided for the first time a physiological explanation of Aldous Huxley's description of the brain as a reducing valve, and also endorsed the original hypothesis of the brain as a reducing, and also, the original hypothesis I had held for so long, that the ego is a controlling, filtering mechanism superimposed upon the brain, whose function is weakened by its reduction of blood supply during the psychedelic experience, thereby allowing a more primary and unconstrained mode of consciousness to manifest itself. The intention of the Beckley Imperial Research Programme is to develop a comprehensive account of how psychedelics affect the brain to alter consciousness. It is a great delight to me that finally, after all these years, we are now working with LSD, using the latest brain imaging technology. I am confident that in the next few years, we will not only reveal more about the mechanisms underlying consciousness, but also how LSD can be beneficial in the treatment of many of man's most common illnesses, such as depression and addiction. On Saturday, Robin will be talking in more detail about our research. I would like to mention some of the other very exciting studies the Beckley Foundation is currently engaged in. In collaboration with Professor Jordi Riba of Sant Pau Hospital in Barcelona, we are carrying out a series of pioneering studies investigating ayahuasca in order to throw light on the mechanisms underlying its effects and the improvements in mental, physical, and spiritual well-being reported by users. We are currently undertaking several studies with cannabis, including one with Professor Guzman in Madrid, investigating whether the full natural cannabis plant is more effective at treating cancer than the individual cannabinoids. Another study in collaboration with University College London uses fMRI to investigate the different effects in the brain brought about by natural cannabis with balanced THC and CBD compared with cannabis consisting of THC alone. At Cardiff University, we are soon to begin the first ever brain imaging study to use fMRI and MEG to investigate the effects of MDMA on war veterans suffering from treatment-resistant post-traumatic stress disorder. At Johns Hopkins University, a Beckley-sponsored study led by Professor Ronan Griffiths investigated for the first time the effects of psilocybin-aided psychotherapy on treatment-resistant addiction, in this case to nicotine. The results, which were amazing with an 80% success rate, have recently been published. It is wonderful to be part of the extended network here today, who share the hope to extend this field of exploration so that we gain greater understanding of how these amazing plants and their related compounds bring about their transformational effects to human consciousness, and how we can harness this ancient knowledge for the betterment of the health and happiness of mankind. We need to pick up from where our ancestors left off. We need to change the law so that we can carry out research. We must stop prosecuting those who explore different avenues of consciousness and allow the sick to be helped by these ancient medications. We need to do the research which will bring the healthy reintegration of these enhanced states of consciousness into our cultural web. A society can gain from having a small group of pioneers who move beyond the constraints of the ego, or the default mode network as it is now known. They can help bring insights and balance to a troubled society. Psychedelics have clearly inspired past civilizations. Dare we hope that the classic psychedelics and the ayahuasca rituals, now spreading from the forest to around the world, may also have an inspirational and healing effect on our troubled society.